more talent will be unveiled with time. So you understand, you can't predict me.
Sweet.
Hi everyone, my name is Chinasa Anukam. I am a, what am I? I'm many things. I'm a stand-up comic, I'm a writer, I'm an actress, I'm a YouTuber. Um, Listen, jack of many trades, master of maintaining beauty. Okay.
What does your work mean to you beyond the final product of releasing it?
I think for me, with my work, a big part of, I guess, the underlying theme for me is just taking up space. Um, as a black woman, as a Nigerian, comedy, which is sort of a broad umbrella for everything I do. I feel like we're very underrepresented in those spaces. I feel like Nigerians are some of the funniest people in the world. Black women are some of the funniest people in the world. So it's very important for me to be in those spaces. I know that I've always had an interest in comedy, but it's not something I really gave myself permission to see as a job, just because in a Nigerian context, it's like, So I feel like it's important for me to just be so that other people know that anything that feels natural to you is possible, regardless of whatever the reality of where you are or what seems possible for you is like. It's just important for me for people to know that quite literally anything is possible. So I think a big thing for me with my job is just to let people know that as an African, as a black woman, as a woman, there's no barrier as long as you work hard and you're passionate about what you do, essentially. Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts or concerns about how that might translate to a global wider audience outside of like Niger or anywhere that's used to like Nigerian culture?
I don't think so because I kind of like we were talking earlier, I started my stand-up comedy journey here. And I purposely started it here because I wanted to try it in front of a room people that I didn't have a shared experience with, right? I've said this in a bunch of interviews now that the first time I did comedy was to like a room full of 70% white men. Literally. And I was like, if I can make these people laugh, then something you have something. And I feel like the journey has taken so many turns since then. But just because I started so hard, and the feedback was positive. Like I want an award just to give a long row, whatever. I feel like that has given me Delulu for the last 5 years. Because it's like you have something, and I think it's just about building as you go along, not trying to do everything at once. Because like I said, I have a lot of things I want to pursue. Film. I want to produce more content on YouTube. I want to do stand-up comedy globally. So it's just a thing of time and skills, right? Because now, just from having a show on YouTube, I've gained so many skills I didn't have before that will be necessary for the journey. So just feel like, keep learning, keep growing, and keep, being true to yourself. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Is there anything about your upbringing that has shaped how you make content or like how you come up with your jokes?
Yeah. I feel like even with the show, something I say a lot is Nigerians are very charismatic, Nigerians are very cheeky, Nigerians are very witty, but that's not something that people necessarily associate Nigerians with. So I wanted to make a show that, displayed that side of us. And I wanted something that young Nigerians could watch and feel like they can take ownership of. Like this feels like Nigerian pop culture. Because I don't feel like we had a lot of that growing up. Because I always say this thing of like, if you watch Nigerian movies, you think the only thing young Nigerians are dealing with is marriage, when to marry a husband. And it's like, guys, please, there's a whole breadth of issues. So I think just being able to bring that voice to a global stage is interesting. Because one of the core feedback I used to get when I started comedy was, you're funny, but you're also interesting. Like, this is a perspective we don't really have. So I think there's space for it. And I intend to take up that space, like I said.
Mm. What is something about that creative process or the journey that you've been on so far that a lot of people don't see or understand about it?
This journey has humbled me. And it will humble anyone. Because I feel like when you have a dream, when you're passionate about something, you're just fueled by the passion, by the dream. And I don't know, there's like a naivety to it. And there's just so much beyond, there's so many things you can't even uh, anticipate that will happen. But again, it's an opportunity for growth as long as you step up to the plate. So it's just a lot of growth. There's been a lot of growth. And yeah, I think I'm just one day at a time. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Um, what has been the most rewarding experience so far?
Rewarding. I think just generally audience feedback. Anytime people tell you about how your work affects them. A big thing for me with the show is sometimes living in Nigeria can be very stressful. I really wanted something people could just come home and de-stress to, like just unwind to. So it just makes me so happy when people tell me, I had a really tough weekend. Just watching you helped me get through my week, because that's something I really set out to do. And ultimately, I think all creativity is about connecting with people, and like I said, inspiring people. Because a lot of people come up to me and say, "Oh, because of you, I've started this. Because of you, I feel like I can do this." And I think that's cool because I think that's why we're here, to inspire.
How do you identify who's going to be a great guest for your show?
I feel like wit is just the prerequisite for a good conversation, right? Because if one person is carrying a conversation, it's obvious. But if you have a willing participant that also has the capacity to engage in wit, it's just so fun. So I just go for people I think are witty, have interesting personalities, people I'm curious about, people I respect, people I admire, people I think have a story to tell. And again, Africans, there's so many people that have those stories, and I'm like, have we been doing enough justice around telling those people's stories? Not necessarily. And also, it's different when you have cultural context for these stories as opposed to when they go to like global interviews and all these things. So you have someone from where they're from that can really talk to them on a different level, and I think that's why the show has really resonated with just Nigerians, Africans all over the world.
So during your time speaking with talent in the UK, what has been your biggest takeaway from those conversations?
That the world is a global village. There's so much connectivity and connection, and that's also why I love creativity, because it just shows us our shared humanity. In my application for film school, I remember writing like that I watched Mean Girls, and I was like, how am I relating to Lindsay Lohan from Nigeria? You know what I mean? So I think that's the beauty of art. There's just a shared humanity, whether that's through struggle, ambition, success, joy, food, jollof, like literally I heard somebody conversation about jollof rice. Yeah, so I think the world is a global village. Yeah.